What is up, players? It's War Boss Tay back up in this mug. Today we're taking a look at the Relictors Space Marine chapter. They're a renegade Space Marine chapter, formerly known as the Fire Claws, and they are in the Warhammer 40k tabletop game. Just as a disclaimer, I've never seen them on the table. I've never really heard about them before David Moffat in the July Painting Challenge introduced me to them. Then I've just gone down the rabbit hole, off the deep end, just trying to get as much information about them as I could. I'll post those links down below. The most helpful for me personally was the 1d4chan.org site. They're just so funny, and the writers are really good at picking the most relevant pieces of information out of scores of different sources and arranging them in a funny and easy to digest manner. So check that out. But you could also check out the Lexicanum and the Warhammer Wikia page. And if you are so inclined, you can also read the books and the stories themselves. And I actually think that's the best way to ingest fluff and information about these, fictional armies. But if you want to just have a quick read just to get to the core of what these guys are, I would suggest the 1d4chan.org article for sure. All right, let's get into it. So the Fireclaws were just your regular run-of-the-mill vanilla Space Marines chapter, just doing their thing, fighting chaos, serving the God Emperor, and doing their thing when they were teamed up one day with a radical Inquisitor who had some really radical ideas. And that's such a funny word, radical. So this radical Inquisitor was like, hey, you know what would be pretty tubular, you guys, is if we used some chaos weapons against all the chaos baddies we're fighting, bro. And like good Imperium's servants, the Relictors were like, no, what are you talking about? That's crazy. That's too radical. But the Inquisitor was able to talk to the chief librarian about some of his ideas, and then in this climactic battle against the Chaos Warband, the chief librarian picks up a demon weapon and uses it against the Chaos Warlord. Now, realizing that he could use a demon weapon and not immediately melt into a gribbly beast that all of the hardline Inquisitors tell you will happen if you pick up a demon weapon, this chief librarian realized that, hey, maybe there is some merit to this radical Inquisitor. Oh, thanks, bro. Appreciate it. And so the Relictors, or the Fireclaws, changed their name to the Relictors because now their whole goal is to hunt for Chaos relics and to use it to fight Chaos. So there's a bunch of different events and stories that happen where the Imperium finds out. The Inquisition goes a little overboard in trying to bring the Relictors back to the light, and after pulling some pretty shady moves, like instead of helping the Imperium win the war on Armageddon, the Relictors went down to the planet's surface really to just hunt for relics, and then as soon as they found what they were looking for, they dipped out and they left the rest of the Imperium to fight that battle without them, and then attacking an inquisitorial stronghold just so that they could get another demon relic. They were first not completely excommunicated, but they were chastised, they were punished, they had their homeworld taken away. The Inquisition was like, we're taking your homeworld and you have to live in space now, and you have to go on a 100-year penance quest to apologize for all this terrible heretical behavior. And I don't know if I mentioned it, they killed the radical Inquisitor as well. Quick. Oh, bro, no. So now they're on their own, and they're in the Eye of Terror, and they're on this 100-year penance quest to atone for their sins. But also at the same time, being in the belly of the beast, they realize, like, maybe we should keep hunting for relics. So on the down low, they keep looking for chaos artifacts and relics and weapons, and then finally the Inquisition is like, okay, enough is enough. Get out of here. You're excommunicated. Traitors, heretics, get out of here. They kicked them into the Eye of Terror. They said, don't ever come back. And that's where we leave them now. That's pretty much the end of their official story. So now as a collector, as a hobbyist, as a gamer, you can take that wherever you wanted. In my head, the writer part of my brain has written that they get into the Eye of Terror, they're completely excommunicated from the Imperium, and they don't immediately fall to chaos. The chapter decides, well, we can't have our same organization, so they break up into smaller companies. Whether or not they stay together is up to you. Whether or not some of those companies get lost and they do fall to chaos because they feel hurt and betrayed by the Imperium, which is the story for, I think, most of the traitor legions. They feel like the Imperium has abandoned them. They feel betrayed and left on their own, and so they fall to chaos, which is not that hard to do because this chapter has been actively using chaos items, relics, war gear, and there's bound to have been some demonic influence. So whether or not you decide to collect these Relictors, if you want, how spiky you want to make them, how chaos influenced do you want to make them? Do you want to make them loyal Imperial Space Marines that just happen to be misunderstood and kicked out of the Imperium, but they still fight for the Emperor and the Imperium and mankind? Or you want to have them be a little bit more straight down the middle, where they're not completely loyal to their former Imperium, to all of their former associates and their civilization, but now they're really still hardline trying to fight chaos and use whatever means necessary to destroy chaos? Or whether or not you have them turn completely heel and make them into mustache-twirling bad guys, where they are so hurt from their betrayal by the Emperor or by the Imperium that they turn to chaos worship. It's up to you. That's the great thing about the Relictors. They leave their current status up to you as a gamer. So you can buy your Space Marines and you can paint them up, and you can have whatever fictional background you have for them that you want. And as a collector now I'm going to take off my fluff my lore master's hat and put on my kitbasher converter hat. The way to build your Relictor Space Marines to have them stand out is, the first thing you got to know, they don't have any Primaris Marines in the fiction because they were kicked out before the Primaris were introduced into the current universe. So we're not going to have Primaris Relictors, and the marks of armor you use for them are probably going to try to tend to the more older. So you're going to have more beaky helmets, you're going to have older marks of armor. And when you're building your Space Marines, the thing you want to keep in mind now is that because they've been because they've been actively going out and collecting chaos equipment, you can have chaos gear on your loyal list, like your Space Marine figures, right? Or you can even, if you want, put chaos bits with your regular Space Marine bits. Maybe have chaos helmets with the horns, or some armor pieces or shoulder pads with the eight-pointed star. You can do that. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. As somebody who is really interested into the fluff of these guys, though, I wouldn't kitbash armor from the Chaos Space Marines to these Space Marines, because in my head, they are much more interesting if they haven't fallen to chaos, like all of the Traitor Legions. If they are still loyal to the Imperium, or at least loyal to the idea that they are on a holy mission to destroy chaos. They're not going to fall, they're not going to worship, but they are going to use the chaos relics and artifacts, which means that if you have little bits of chaos gear or weapons, or maybe just like fanatical pieces of gear or equipment, like purity seals or books held open, things like that, then that would be more interesting. And you know who has a lot of that? The Black Templars. They've got a lot of interesting looking braziers and tombs. You can also get a lot of bits on eBay from the Empire Fanatics kit. They have a lot of scrolls and books that are roped and held open on slabs of wood, parchment banners hanging on wooden poles. A lot of really interesting parts that you can glue and kitbash onto your regular Space Marine figures to instantly make them Relictors and Relictor looking, to give them the look of Space Marines that have been abandoned and are kind of left on their own to take care of their equipment and are in the warp and are just trying to find bits of chaos weapons to fight chaos. You don't want to get them too Purity Seal, scroll worky, or else they'll start to edge towards like the word bearers fanaticism. But having a couple of scrolls or a couple of pieces of chaos equipment on their waist, or maybe a sword on one of the characters is obviously a demonic sword, that might be interesting. And you paint them up just like regular Space Marines, without the spiky chaos bits or the blood splatter too much, and you could have some really interesting looking models. And that's going to do it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you would like to support me, I'm going to put the link to my Patreon down below in the video description, as well as the link to my Discord channel where you can engage in the community over there, post up pictures of your work, and just engage in all of the crazy shenanigans we've got coming up. Hope you're having a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, keep those paintbrushes going. See you in the next video. Laters!